have to more focus in some details. Let's say we had the diagram with iProd and the other processes, and we had some arrows connecting. Sometimes I will talk for that arrow that is trying to connect and pass some data. Here in the previous one was we talked a little bit how we had to build this ontology to start talking about the same things. And in this one we'll talk about how to offer the optimization tool to the to the community of iProd, and then obviously later to anyone else. The optimization work is always a round closed circle that starts from designing. You have a process that you want to optimize. You create usually a process simulator as close as possible to see how it will go. You take some results, you analyze it, and you redesign it, and you go this round all until you reach desired point. Until now, it was easy to have mathematical solutions that solved immediately. Most today problems are so complicated that we cannot have a solution, but we have to simulate the entire problem somehow and take the answer and retry it and take the next answer, try it 100,000 or 1,000 times, and then compare them, select the best, and restart again. We can do it now, the last 5 years, because even our laptops are running decently, and not like in the 80s where we were waiting for some months to get the result, or days and weeks for simple cases. The new idea that we're trying to apply and is to use the web services in this up to now, all these tools are usually local. You build the application, you have the process that simulates, you have the optimizer, the data, and you run it in one system as fast as you can. But when we start to work with the distributed systems, we have somewhere the simulator, another place is the one that develops it, or the other place is the one who makes an optimizer, a good one, and we want to collaborate, all of us, in different computer systems, different networks, different tools. The help on that came with this development of the web services. They started several years ago. They're still maturing. It's not, but already many companies, they understood that they have to pass to the web services to offer their product or to make available what they have in the internet. The web service, what I want to mainly stress here is that I don't know how many of you have a programming background. Is the same that we had years ago with these libraries of functions and subroutines, IMSL, NAG, and all that. We couldn't rewrite how to calculate a square root or the inverse of a matrix, and we bought a ready set of functions with a big manual explaining that you submit this variable and the matrix and the variable and the flag, and you receive a matrix and a flag and all these explanations with 3 pages. This is what the web service is, but in the network domain. They have, I need to calculate something. They have the manual, this is the WSDL, file that describes how to give a parameter and what I will receive. If it is an integer, a string, an array or something, or a real value, and I give my parameters and I receive my answer. This is the way that I can get rid of the human interface. I mean, when I develop a standalone program, I put a lot of pages of human interfacing and they give me this number, push the k or k cancel. And when I want to use the same program as a function, I delete everything and I put them in the calling command. This is what the web services do, and we hope that they will do it better in the future. To do that, we had to take the tool that already works as a standalone package, and we wrap it with a piece of software that offers that to the internet. So the job to promote it as a web service, a ready tool, already existing package, or that we can slightly modify if we develop it ourselves, is to connect it with a piece of code that could be C#, VB, Visual Basic, .NET, or Java, or anything, and explain through this WSDL file how it is called, and expect someone to give us parameters and receive the value, the answer, just like a function inside the C program or inside the macro program. In order to do that, we had to create, to use some tools. A set of tools was to have a web server that supports it, a development tool that will create this code around it, and maybe some routines in the same, if we use, for example, MATLAB, it offers some of these tools, to the latest versions, not the previous ones, to do some of these exchanges automatically. And use, of course, this XML-like formats to exchange. Basically, in order to wrap up any optimizing software that we had prepared, we had to develop a function that receives and feeds it with the correct values, takes them from the internet, a function that calls it and as we like, and another function that will take the output and send it to the three more pieces of software are necessary to wrap it up. And okay, one can add also other things to keep track of where it's going, other stuff, but it needs to receive somehow from the internet the values that one will submit automatically, and prepare the answer to give it back after calling the package. So there are some typical modules that must be developed to promote an inside tool to the web services. For example, okay, this was a small test. We were playing with simple cases just to minimize the function, and we could do it locally and through a web service. The same results, so we receive the same results. What was the difference? In the results, nothing. The difference was the type. I mean, when we wanted to evaluate just this function locally, it was immediate. When we had to evaluate through the web service, it had to go out to the network card, call the web service, see how it is called, send the values, the web service starting to run, a new other process, give back the results, receive them, and show the results here again. This was only a delay. That in these cases, where the single cases that we can put it in our computer, we say, okay, I can do it now. I don't want to spend some time, so much time. But when these packages are proprietary, they are in another company, they are rented there is no problem. It would just change the way we call it. For example, if I had to call this function 1,000 times, I wouldn't run 1,000 times this call, but I will prepare a batch of 1,000 runs to run it once. So the delay is will happen once. We have to. The problem with using the web service is that we have to reorganize how we submit the program. In order to avoid this, the optimization always has this loop, and we have to prepare the loop in advance and send it in batches. Inside the calling code, the difference is very slight. For example, if I want to call a function, a genetic algorithm that with a population size and some generations and some parameters that we have to run, locally it was a simple code that one line of code, and I was calling the local ff1 fitness function 1 easy. When I have to call it through the internet, I had to first make him read this WSDL file, so he learns how to call it, what to pass, and then from this class that creates, say, give me the FF1, the same function, from this service to the internet, that's HTTP, blah, 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 with the same arguments, both sides, and it works. It's, for example, this is an example from MATLAB, where it's done automatically. We submit to the MATLAB where is this service. It finds it, and goes and creates subroutines ready for us. Just to, instead of calling the local FF1, we call the network function with the same arguments. As the years pass, these tools are becoming more and more convenient. We can start building easily. 5 years ago, it wasn't possible. It was not supported. The last year version supports that. So we can easily wrap what we want to promote and give it as a web service and pass it to the internet. Now, as a last figure, you have seen this figure again in another presentation. This is a web page. This is for humans, not for computers like the web service, where we wanted to work this web service interactively. So we had to run the optimizer, but the optimizer needs information from other modules. A web service that was from the scenario of the paper we saw yesterday, preparing a plan. The web service of software that prepares the software workflow is another service. So, in fact, here I was calling with these buttons. I was calling the web service giving me the software workflow. The web service giving me the final total plan. Another web service calling the knowledge base, retrieving some information about resources, details of resources not existing here. I was giving also some numbers, special that file I have, how to run my GA, and then I was submitting that to my web service. This I had to do it manually. The idea is to replace all that with code inside the service. Once it is called from the internet, the service itself goes to each one of these, picks the number, the required information, runs, and returns the result. Okay, the result of this test case was to improve the times of running simulation software. Okay, and then we could submit that to the simulator and achieve some shorter running time. This is the test that we prepared some months ago, but the new one will follow now the iProd, the last results, and will be restructured and we run it automatically. This was a manual test just to see if we connect, we receive, we connect, we receive, we connect, we receive, and we use it all together. So this, I wanted to show how straightforward it becomes for everyone to prepare its the service as the tool and promote it to run like a web service and give it to the community. One can do it free as a university, and others, a company can rent it. So they don't have to sell it. And because it's gone, you don't know what the other one does with that. When you have in your server, you can rent it, and you have the memberships, and you know who does what. For example, for companies, it's very interesting that to keep it in-house and update it without having to sell and distribute updates all over the world. And for the moment, we have some prototypes that we try to make them work interactively. And the whole idea is to be able to support these PDP processes with heterogeneous tools and networks and systems, whatever it is, with the help of the new tool of web services that permit us to pass through firewalls to give the exact numbers and strings and integers, real values, without with less errors or incompatibilities. You have any questions?
First of all, thank you. Please.
I thought it should be fast to because we are.
It's a question there. How are you dealing with the question of authentication? Because if you're dealing with, as you say,
who does leave you? He left yesterday. One of the partners is doing that. The central authentication that will be also distributed to everyone that will use in the same network.
At the moment, we have an IT infrastructure that handles security, authentication, and authorization, which is based on CAS, so it's Central Authentication Service, and Liferay and Java Enterprise Technologies to manage the interface part and the federation of the interfaces and the authorization of who can do what. Normally, you know that CAS can link to any type of directory service that you have, LDAP, active directories, etc. So eventually, it's taking from what you already have and assigning authorizations and access permissions to the specific parts of the tool. Another thing is the authorization authentication for the body of knowledge. So it's who can access what type of knowledge and when. This is logically related to projects and to the relations that you have with the specific project and the function that you have within that project. It's different. It's not the typical rule-based authentication system. It's a little bit more sophisticated. It's still being developed.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason I say is one of the biggest issues is actually the geographical spread of where these services are located and where you're using them. Particularly, if you're beyond a national border. So while you're within one company, within a single national border, actually the authentication is just basically saying, well, actually, are you the right person to be asking for this service? Are you allowed to use this service? That's relatively straightforward, although you have to supply the rules. The next step is saying, well, actually, you're collaborating with a separate organisation outside who's providing the service. who own the IP behind that service, and are you allowed to use it? That's the issue of you know, to what extent you're allowed to access the knowledge behind what you're using. But the final one is the one we have to deal with, particularly if you're the services, say in the US, this issue of export control of what information you physically have to pass through now becomes the in the domain of export control and getting it back. There's a whole process and a set of issues to do with on that side.
Okay.
Is that something you still to look into then?
No, we are partially addressing this, not completely.
Okay.
For data, we can segregate. The data can be bound to a specific geographical location. So even if we are using virtualization and cloud computing, we can still segregate that some data can be executed. Simulations, for example, can be done only in Europe or only in UK, or only on your private cloud. For us, there is virtually there is no real difference except for the description. That's for data. For information, depends on where you have your knowledge store. At the moment, we have only one knowledge store. There is chance that we can federate different knowledge stores within the same company. We have not yet implemented or looked into the details of the implementation of this thing. So this is not yet completely
But
addressed.
it's in the plan.
It's in the plan, yes. Then there is also filtering and mapping data to what is outside the company, supplier. This is a topic of the legacy data connector, which is a tool that maps knowledge from I don't know, PLM, PDM, existing systems, as well as from your supply network. So when you define a connector, you are also defining the policy that gives you rights to access certain information in your supply network. But if your supply network is also semantically enabled, in this sense, the mapping is really straightforward. It's very simple. That's one thing. Then there was the last item. It was beyond the supply network. The rules, the export rules.
Yes.
These we didn't address yet completely. Although, yeah, I think that thanks to the experience at Fokker,